Hi.
Good notes.
I seriously don't know. I'm trying to figure it out, but I honestly don't know if I'm excited or hurt.
A little hurt.
Are you? Because she's all giddy and I'm like, yeah, great. Okay, you get a chance to be in a class, Mel. Sure. And she's like, I'm so excited. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then all you people show up, and I'm like, this is exciting. But then I thought it's probably because of her.
It's only because. Only because.
And you got a fuzzy microphone on.
The reality now is the only reason I'm here is because you're here.
Right.
If Jeff was leading, I wouldn't be here.
It's okay. Truth hurts, probably.
No.
Are you ready?
Yes, we're ready. We're ready. Try to make the most of everybody's time. Obviously, there's a need for the class.
There is a need.
Obviously.
But why are we starting with this class, Jeff? I mean, why aren't we talking about lead generation? I want to know how to generate.
I don't have any
leads.
leads. I'm not getting any leads.
Yeah,
I don't know where to get the leads.
Why aren't we starting with that?
I don't know. Why would we not start with lead generation? That's what everybody wants to talk about. Huh?
You have to know how to convert the leads that you get.
Do you live with a broker?
Are you
Because that was our answer, and you're right out of the
I
gate.
didn't know that.
sleeping with a broker?
Seriously, that is the answer. Everybody, or if you go and talk to 10 realtors, I guarantee you will get the concern about leads. But the problem is sometimes that is the cart before the horse.
Oftentimes. We want to make sure that because a lot of times generating leads, what does it cost us? Money sometimes, and certainly our time. So money and time, two of our biggest resources, cost us. And if we're not good at this class, if we're not good at converting them, we're pissing away both. And who wants to piss away time? Who wants to piss away money? Not me.
The other issue is that if a person doesn't feel confident about their ability to convert a lead, or what you're going to say to people, how you're going to say it, just your confidence in general, you might talk about converting leads, but you'll lack the doing part because you just don't feel confident. And I don't think that's not like a static thing. That changes as the market changes. A couple years ago, it wasn't a big deal because there were lots of other leads coming in. It was just constant leads. Now, I don't know about all you guys, but I do feel the change for sure. So we thought it was a really good idea to start with this one.
Yep. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you think about lead conversion? What was the first thing that comes to mind? Communication. Follow up. Getting an appointment.
Wow.
Now, all those things are super important, but I just want to challenge you. I want you to think about everything in real estate just a little bit different, including this, and that is starting with your mindset. Everything in real estate, we've got to have the right mindset. If you don't have the right mindset, you're not going to have the right drive, you're not going to spend the time that you need to on systems and processes. It just becomes a grind. We have got to get in the right mindset, and it's no different than really anything we do.
What's the right what do you mean by mindset? What do you guys think we mean by mindset, or
That's how you work yourself up. That's how you're like, I'm going to be the best today, and I'm going to get 3 of these people. Whatever. Just have a goal.
what else about mindset? I love that.
I really like to wake up early and watch a whole bunch of news, all the negative stuff. Just kidding. That's what's not to do.
Yeah, I was always taught to keep your personal house clean. If you can't have things in order in your own home, it's very hard to go out and serve others. So if you don't have those things in order, it's very hard to help someone else.
Start your day by thinking of what you want to accomplish as if you've already accomplished it. My whole I am thing that I'm into. Speaking to yourself like I have sold $20 million, or I have 6 appointments today, but not ever letting your mind shift to, I will or I want to, but I am or I have.
Now, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would think about I'm gonna go out and meet friends today, because my friends always typically just want me to, real.
That was good.
Confidence is one. Something that Casey always hammers on is knowing the numbers, having the mindset of knowing the market. That makes me ready to talk to somebody, which I'm not great at.
You will. You're gonna
Well,
get them.
Don't say I'm not great at it. I am great at it.
Yeah.
Getting there.
You've made big steps really fast, so you're working hard
I
at
emailed
it too.
some numbers to somebody today.
But if you think about where we're at and what we do, it's sure not hard to get excited. And I think that mindset to me means excitement. People are coming here not typically, sometimes, but not typically because their jobs transferred here or they've been forced to move here. They're coming here for everything we have. They're coming here for the experience that the lake offers. And we've got so many things going on right now, all the time. I mean, it feels like all the time that it's easy to get excited. And when I look back at the agents who are really more successful at converting or seem to have less issues, and you look at all of them, and I can see it in this room a lot, those are the people that are excited and happy about what they do and confident about their area, and they want to share that experience. So that's what mindset means to me. I like what you were saying.
No, I think it was you that used to talk about, didn't you used to listen to like hard rock, AC/DC or something before you go into a listing appointment or?
I like that song, Crazy Bitch.
But even before that, we
Yeah.
can't play that one now. We have to turn it off on the bus.
No.
Even
No
before
filter,
that,
no filter.
Wasn't,
Sorry.
wasn't there, didn't you used to?
Yeah, I mean, I try to get myself psyched up to it. That, something powerful that you can go, because I look at it every day that I get the opportunity to help change somebody's lives. So I was excited to talk to you guys because if I can help do something better for you, life gives it back to you tenfold. So if we can help our customers and they have a good experience, that pumps me up. So I'm like, all right, let's go. Then you can make some money. Because I want to make some money.
You also, you talk about getting your mindset right. That was one of the things you did as well, was tell them about, and again, this wasn't with buyers. I know we're in buyer conversion, but again, we're talking about mindset right now. What did you do to get your mind, because you struggled with sellers at first, which is hard to believe, but you did. And you used to write a check and.
Yeah, to get myself, I used to suck at working with sellers. Buyers is really how I started because Jeff did all the sellers. But I will not watch the news. I have no idea what's really going on because I don't want anything negative. But if I can start it out with a podcast, anything positive to read, and when I get in the, you want to add to
You
it?
never did suck with sellers.
I know, but
You
I thought I
just
did.
told yourself
I
you
did.
did.
I did.
So back to our mindset thing, you did.
Yeah.
But you realized the importance of turning that around. So I remember when you used to write a check.
I did. So I would, if you walked into a listing and you knew, okay, it's $200,000. Here's my commission rate. Here's what I'm going to make. I would write myself a check. And I thought, you only have so much time. And if you don't nail it, you just wasted the opportunity to get that for your family.
It's the same with a buyer. You can literally do that.
Yep.
You felt like you were a good buyer, so you didn't necessarily do that. But it's the same thing. You were getting your mind right.
Yeah.
You were telling yourself what was at stake. And every time that phone rings, that is potentially at stake.
Yes.
Every single time the phone rings, every single time you have a conversation at the grocery store, the gas station, somebody asks you how the real estate market, every time it's a mindset of what's that conversation.
Well, and I think in real estate, whether we want to be on or not, you're on. I mean, I don't go to the mailbox without my lipstick on, but that's just me. Because I don't know, a neighbor might come by. You just don't know. You can't act like an idiot when you're out in public because you're on. And you'll miss an opportunity. If you want to do that, you got to go out of town. And don't put it on Facebook. Just go do that.
We don't know. Yeah, we don't know where it's coming. It
No.
can come in the grocery store or wherever. Thoughts about mindset? Anything else? For sure.
Oh, for sure.
A lot of truth in that. And you know what? No matter if you're an independent agent, brand new on our team, or 20 years into it, sometimes you got to do a little reset. And what helps me is numbers. Numbers always help me because it gives me something to lean on that the consumer doesn't have. Your buyers don't have the information. You guys, we pound numbers all the time, but your buyers don't have that at their fingertips like you do. So as far as an elevator speech, if you can constantly have that in your head, how's the market, Jason?
Gosh, Jeff, that's a great question. It really depends on which part of the market you're interested in. Are you interested in buying, selling? You're an investor? Real estate here at the Lakes really got three sub-markets that are kind of our biggest: condos, lakefront, off-water. And you just and then you always end with the question, which one are you interested in, or what would you like to know about? You sound way different than somebody just says, well, the market's great. I almost caught myself the other day at the gym. Somebody asked me, how is the market? And I almost said, boy, it's good. I was like, it's good. You're an idiot. That's what I said.
Yeah.
I said it's actually up 17% year to date through the end of February than it was, and then I went into that whole spiel. But I literally, we talk about this all the time, and I almost missed an opportunity. So.
Well, and I think with buyers too, if they ask you, if you see them out in public, they're at a restaurant and they're asking about the market, they may not be looking for numbers because we are selling a want, not a need. So I'm going to say, I'm curious, are you thinking about being part of the lake? Are you looking at wanting to boat on the weekends, have your kids learn how to ski? What are you looking for? Because I want to sell them the dream. Because it doesn't always make sense to have a second home. They're not always in that investment mindset. They're looking for the memories, having fun with their family, their friends. So I'm trying to even go deeper of why do you want to be here? And I will drill them down on their whys to even help close them at the end of it. And I'll tell you guys how I do that later.
So I kind of led us into the pre-meeting there with that market question. What else would be a pre-meeting opportunity for conversion? Because we're talking about buyer conversion. So what's happening right now? I think this one is super important because I think the changes in our industry that didn't really change anything caused a little bit of this thought. Before you can convert a buyer, you have to convert a buyer.
Really?
You do a prospect. You do.
I know.
It's important.
I know.
Prospects are all over the place. We never know where they're coming. We never know when we're going to be interviewed. We're being interviewed when we get asked, how's the market? We're being interviewed. They're not asking because typically they have a reason. Mm-hmm. So I'll give you one, a pre-meeting. I'm calling because I want to work with a listing agent. I'm calling the listing agent. Has anybody ever had a call where somebody asked for a listing agent? You're not the listing agent. Mm-hmm. You just send them to the listing agent?
That's not me. Let me go get him on the phone.
Yeah.
That has happened a lot in the last 6 months, and for periods of time, it didn't happen at all. If it hasn't happened to you yet, it's going to happen at some point. We have to be prepared for that because people were conditioned that they don't have to work with a buyer's agent. That last year that happened, and that for some of our buyers, which we typically work with some very savvy buyers, there's a lot of them that think there's no value there. So being prepared to convert that is it's an opportunity to convert a buyer pre-meeting before you actually get face to face. They're calling on the phone. How do you guys deal with that? What would you do? What do you do? Has anybody had success with it?
They're not at the office right now, but I can help you get you the information on that property.
I'm familiar with the listing account.
Mm-hmm.
I like to share the story when we bought the property out of state. And I like to tell them, hey, there was a condo complex that I was absolutely hammered on. I thought it was the best thing ever. And, actually our broker here got me hooked up with an agent that I needed that value to help me, out of state. And I realized that complex
Summarize that again, I'm sorry, we couldn't hear you.
Oh,
Can we
sorry.
turn that
So,
air down, the fan? Oh, you did?
So
Oh,
basically,
thank
I
you.
like to share the
Sorry.
story when we bought property out of state, and, you know, if I would've called the listing agent, they would've just tried to sell me that listing, but because I worked with the buyer's agent, they explained why that property was not, you know, anywhere close to what I was looking for, even though, you know, kind of, you know, at face value it did. And, you know, she helped guide me to a property that, you know, better suited our needs, and it's worked out much better in the long run. If I would just call the listing agent, listen to what they had to say, I probably would've bought their property, and it probably would not work out.
So you know what Ryan did? He told a story. Our personal experiences, and a lot of you guys have a lot of personal life experiences, and if you don't, you have them in your teams, you have them from people in this company. Share those stories. Jeff's the best storyteller I know, and that's what he's one of the best teachers I know, and that's because he uses stories. And stories are extremely powerful, and if you can be a part of that story, if you can think of your own personal experiences like Ryan did, it's huge. Huge, so that's a good point.
When I think if they're calling you on the listing, because I think I had several of those calls so far this year. So I'll say I'll absolutely tell you about the property. I'm not going to answer you if I'm the listing agent or not, because I may not be. But we have the same access on MLS, and I'll pull it on. But then I'm going to question, I'm curious, why are you calling the listing agent? Are you open to hearing, you know, about other properties? Do you know that a listing agent is probably only going to want to sell you that property, and there's different things they may not tell you about? Like when you're buying a lake property, do you understand the Ameren permits? Do you understand what it is for the dock electric? Do you know about water depth? Have you bought or sold before? I want to have them question themselves so much that they have to know they need a buyer's agent. But you're going to have to show your value. And I do it very nicely with them, but I want them at the end to be so confused that they go, oh my gosh, I didn't even know I should ask those questions. I go, they don't have to tell you those because they're not working for you. I'd love to work for you.
And you're not just telling them the answers, she's asking them. She's getting them to self-discover. She's asking them questions about each of those issues. And then they're like, well, no, nobody brought that up, or no, I didn't know about that. And then if you just come in guns blazing where you just beat somebody down, make them feel stupid, that doesn't work.
No, you got to be kind with them, but let them self-discover. And I'm very sweet with them. And I'm like, oh, now that one, you know, it's got a 12 by 32. What kind of boat do you have, or what are you looking to buy? And they might go, I have a 40-foot open council. I'm like, you know, that one's probably not going to work for you unless we can maybe get Ameren to modify the permit. Are you familiar with that process? And they'll go, I don't get anything you're talking about. So I want them to realize we do have value. And then I'm going to try to get them in the office. You know, if you had maybe 5 minutes, could I visit with you maybe? Whether you use me or not. Can I help you, or can I email you some information? So I'm always trying to give before I get. You know, are you on your computer right now? Because sometimes they're calling from work or from home. Are you on your computer? Can I send you something right now? Then all of a sudden I got their email. So then I can follow up with them. But I want them to give me something.
But you kind of know that is a plan or a process in your mind prior to the call. That's the key. You would certainly not show up at a seller's door without your materials and a plan, right? But a lot of times we feel the call without a process or a plan. We feel that in the car, it's everywhere. Everywhere we encounter a potential prospect that could be a buyer client, we need to have a plan of some sort in our head before we start a chain reaction and we say, oh, it's good, market's good. Because then you've derailed your own plan. The other thing I think that is very apparent to me when I sit and listen to a phone call or conversation you have that did not happen overnight. And that's the struggle that we have when we're sitting here talking to you guys, because everybody's in a different point in their career. Everybody has a little different personality. This did not happen overnight. She now is confident enough to challenge someone because she knows she hasn't lost anything. When the phone call rings and you think you have to have every single one of them because you need a buyer, that is a problem. You don't know that other person on the other end of the line. You don't know if you want to work with them. You don't know if they're qualified. You don't know but you need to have a process that vets them and allows you the opportunity to discover. If you can challenge them and show them that you have value without even being in front of them, or maybe it's the first time in an open house when they say, "No, I don't need any help, just looking around." You got to find a way to break through. We got to do that on the phone immediately and or in person so that we get the opportunity to have more conversation with them. That's what I hear all the time.
Yeah.
And I don't hear it just from you. I hear it from a lot of agents, but I also don't want to not say that that takes time and it takes you creating your own process, because whatever works for one doesn't work the same for the other. I put my little spin on it.
Well, Mel, and also, kind of along those same lines, did you create that process just in live action, or?
Sometimes. Then you screw up and you lose them. But no, anything I could, like.
Yeah, we didn't have this training.
No, we didn't have training. We had years ago, we didn't have things like this. So if there's anything you can read, books, you know, we had the old cassette tapes, any classes, anything you can get your hands on. And what I used to do is walk around and listen to everybody talk on the phone. So, you know, we were in the first main office, so if I could sit outside their office, Jen Kelly will tell you, I used to sit outside her office in a chair, and I'd listen to her on the phone. Because I'm like, okay, and then she'd get off, I'm like, why'd you say that? I'm just trying to learn. So if you listen to other people, that's how I picked it up more as well. That helped me a lot. Because too, when they call, sometimes they're so quick. Have you ever noticed? They'll go, I just want to know the asking price. That's it. And they're kind of rude, and I'm like, oh, can you hang on just a second? My computer's acting up. Oh, you guys are on the boat. What are you guys doing today? Have you tried any new restaurants? I'm just trying to build rapport. And then if they don't even give me their name, I used to go, can I even buy a vowel? Can I just buy a vowel?
I heard you say that.
And they're like, what?
I've actually heard that. She's not
And then
lying.
they'll start laughing. I'm trying to get them to loosen up because you have a lot of D personalities here. A lot of business owners are very direct. I'm just trying to get them to laugh and joke with me, just so I can build any type of rapport with them.
By the way, that's really important, what you just said. And we do talk about that a lot, but we don't talk about it enough. Because it's hard when you're on the phone, you're not looking at somebody. When you're looking at somebody, you can tell pretty quick what they are. And as far as what type of personality they are. But on the phone, it's a little tougher. But that knowing or being able to recognize what you're dealing with and then playing off that is, I think, really important with conversion.
And they'll tell you, oh, I got the kids, and you can hear kids there. I'm like, oh, are you guys going to go tubing today? I'm just anything I can. Now, when they're drunk a little bit, that's a little bit harder. I'm like, can I get your number and call you right back? Maybe in the morning, please.
Let me ask you a question, though. So say you have a difficult buyer, and you're having a conversation, and you break through, and you get a little bit of rapport. And they're really adamant about just using the seller's agent, listing agent. At what point do you ever bring up agency?
For the buyer's
Having
agent?
that discussion of what agency is.
It's a hard one because it all depends on their personality, and some will drill you down.
Does that ever happen?
No, it does. You'll get those really tough ones. Yeah. And some of them, at this point, I'm like, I'm probably not going to win you. I'm going to go try to find someone that's going to be nice and work with you. Because you will learn some of the personalities. It's just going to be awful the entire time, and you may not get them closed because they're that adamant. What do you want to add to it?
Are you talking about on the phone, Joe?
Either or.
So you know,
Yeah.
you know what I have seen in our office that didn't work right away, but then ended up working was, and we do this. We used to do this with listing prospects all the time. Somebody calling in looking to thinking about selling, interviewing. But I had never thought of it with respect to buyer, and that is, we have to deliver. We have to be able to demonstrate value. And so we've been real adamant about putting together, having your buyer packet, having information about all of these things you're bringing up, AMRIN, doc permits, a resume, reference list. I have seen during a call that an offer to email them the sheet on the listing and then following up with emailing them information on all of the things you're bringing up, even if they're not responsive to it. And we've had buyers that have called back and used that person when at a later time, when they wouldn't give the information initially because nobody else did. And that's half the game. That line says creating an experience. The experience is what will win. Part of the experience is who's going to represent, kind of like Ryan said.
One of the things that I've seen work is you get somebody hard like that, it looks like it's going nowhere. Send them a video text, just say, hey John, I wanted you to have a face with a name. One of the things I forgot to tell you about is I've got a packet on that house of information and a packet on market stats. If you'd like to see any of that, I'd love to help in any way. If not, no worries. Just remember, I'm here to help if you ever need anything. It's a Hail Mary, but at the end of the day,
What do you got to lose?
what do you got to lose? And they're gonna, more than likely, they're calling, if they're looking at they're calling 10 different agents, 10 different listing agents, and most of those people are, yeah, it's listed at $1 million. Thanks.
What helps me understand that, I love that, and we would do that with listings. We wouldn't do it with buyers. We just have to flip the script and get a different mindset. You know, with man, I must be getting old. I just forget things like poof, it's gone. I had a great one and it was gone. It left me right there.
Well, I think along those same lines is we always think of these great things we put so much time and effort into our listings, and then with buyers we just don't. We talk about creating that experience with listings, but with buyers, we talk about sending, you go on a listing appointment, then you send them flowers or you send them a handwritten card, and we just don't have that same mindset.
I know what I was going to say.
I knew if I talked long enough,
Thank you.
would.
Interviewing a listing, it's like they have the right. In my mind, they have the right. Oh, they should be. But I never thought about it that way with buyers. Why don't buyers have the right? If they're looking for $1 million house, why don't they have the right to call 15 people? They will. They do.
They should.
And now they've got different dialogue, which throws us a curveball because they say, I want the listing agent.
Well, Jeff, I'm only going to work with you if you're loyal to me. I need you to sign this buyer's agency whenever I show you this house.
That'll work.
It's asinine for us to think that that's okay.
Right. But it's not like taught that way. It hasn't
No.
been taught that way. And I think if we change our mindset to feel it's okay, buyers should be calling a lot of agents, because agents don't work the same. Not every agent is the same as another agent. Not every real estate company is the same as another company. They don't deserve it. We have to earn it.
It takes out, I've heard it, you can feel it when it takes out the defensiveness of the agent whenever you come at it with that mindset of exactly what you're saying. That they have the right, and they should. In fact, even if I'm so glad you're interviewing agents. I'm so glad you're calling all the different listing agents. I don't think you should work with one, but I'm glad you are, so that you can see how different each agent is. Because the reality is not every agent is the same. I promise you, I treat my business like a business, and if you give me the opportunity to work with you, I'm gonna put more money in your pocket than anybody else.
So if you can believe in that, in every pre-meeting opportunity you can see, whether it be an open house or a phone call, that you adopt your own process and you build something that you can send out, or a video that you can follow up with, guaranteed you will convert more people, even if you get really good just on the phone like you.
No, and I'm terrible because I don't remember what I'll do, so I do that. So like if they hit me on, I just want to work with the listing agent on that, I will send them a video, which I hate sending videos of myself. I'll do them 5 times before I send them. But I will ask for the interview, and I just will send my resume. So I've created a resume. I create where the market stats are, and I say, here's the other thing. For the house you're looking at, it's very unique. At my company, so you know, we have right now 40% market share. Did you know a lot of the listings come up that don't even hit MLS that we're selling? So this house that you're calling on may not be for you. I've got an inside angle that I can send you things. And then I will start emailing them the stats, the conversion. Oh, by the way, make sure they have an addendum A. Not every company does. So make sure you have this. But again, if you are open to it sometime, I'd love to interview for the position to be your buyer's agent.
That's awesome.
And normally I'll ask too over, are you okay with that? Would that be all right with you? Because I want a yes or a no.
That's one
Yep.
of the things to say.
Mm-hmm.
Make up, would you be opposed, would you be open-minded?
Yeah. You know.
Never in a derogatory sense to a listing agent representing a seller. You never go to the fact that even if you go directly to that listing agent, they don't have your best interests.
Yeah.
I'll send them the,
I do.
the agency, the listing.
Well, and if it's your listing, I'm not going to say you don't want to work with me. Hang on.
I
But
think you can layer that. I think you can layer that in there.
I think you should.
I absolutely think you can. You know, and I would say it like this. I would say, you know, first of all, I wouldn't lead with this. That's the important part of a process. You do things in an order intentionally. You never lead with, before we look at this house, you need to sign that.
Right.
You don't lead with that, or you don't get it. So even on the phone, you have a process that builds rapport, that causes them to laugh, that demonstrates your value, and the only time I would change this if somebody on the other end causes me to, which they're being interesting. Then I will challenge them. You know, if they're being interesting to me, like they're not giving anything back, then I'm going to play with them. But normally you don't try to change your process. So when you get to that point where you've demonstrated your value a little bit, then I would sprinkle it in. The other thing that buyers don't, sometimes the people calling in that are interested in property, that are looking to buy here at Lake of the Ozarks, sometimes they don't realize that when they call a listing agent, that person has an obligation to focus only on that listing. So they're not going to get the opportunity to see what's available to them on or off the market. So that is not derogatory in my opinion, but it kind of is. But I don't care. They don't know the value we represent until we give them the ideas of the value we represent. So that's why converting before you have a client is so important. Or you never get the opportunity to stand face to face with them. Because when you're face to face, super favorite, Synergy. Open it up, scroll, find the Jeff Winters post that says, Synergy's so awesome, I didn't even put it on the market and we got it under contract already. Find that and show it to a buyer. I've got 120.
Under contract by an admin, by the way. An admin showed my friend, and that's the buyer.
But that's the power we have every day that the public has no idea of, and if we don't show them, we're going to use it ourselves and miss all the value that's there. And I am so guilty of not showing, show a seller that. They love it. Anyway.
So how come no one's looking at my house? He's using it against me.
Okay.
Yeah, I would,
okay.
so that's a great
That's
point.
a whole nother class, but go there for a minute.
But the reality is, Mr. Seller, the reality is lots of people are looking at your house. They're just choosing not to come see it in person. The reality is you can see by our internet access, there's over 1,500 people that have looked at your house. They've just looked at it compared to the other homes on the market in that price point, decided they don't need to see it in person.
I had a guy tell me
That
yesterday,
would have been better.
Brian, I had a guy tell me yesterday, it's not a price point problem. And I said, look, I hear you. And I wanted to defend that. And I did for a long time. And I can't anymore because we've exposed it for too long to too many people. We've got too many website hits. We've had too many showings, too much feedback. Price point is the only thing it can be. That doesn't mean you have to do anything about it, but I know it's price point.
The only two reasons homes don't sell is price and exposure. And we take the exposure out of it. That's what you need to tell them. And so it always comes back to price. Now, that doesn't mean it's not going to sell at this price if you're willing to wait longer. But at some point, it always comes back to price at time. So anyway, that's a different.
Yeah, I'm going to circle us back. Anything else about pre-meeting? I know we hammered that, but I think right now it's so important for you guys to capture as many opportunities and many at-bats as we can. So being on point and having a process prior to being in front of somebody is really important, or before you know them. But this next one is the first meeting. So why would it be important to meet in the office with a buyer prospect? Why would you want to do that? controlled environment.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it showcases also remotes.
Puts you at a different level.
Professional looking.
I introduced him to our office ladies. I'm like, this is Carrie. She'll be taking care of all these things. And I introduced Tracy. Sometimes I think they did it, but
No, I think it's good. I want them to come into the office so I have control. And then I want to wow them. You know, if you ever gone into a nice doctor's office or had any experience where you come in and then you feel like, oh, this was kind of fun. That's what I'm looking for. And I'll try to get them in the office every time. I'm like, the lake is so unique and different. I promise you, if you can give me 10 minutes of your time, we can meet in the office. It's going to save you time. Because right now you're bringing me everything you're finding on Zillow. I know the pictures look good, but that's not what you've described to me that's going to meet your needs. So if we can meet in the office, it's going to save you time. It's really going to save me time, but I'm trying to convince them this is for your benefit. So please come in. And if I normally can't get them in the office, it's very odd. I would say I've got about a 99% I can get them in the office. Otherwise, I don't really want to put them in my car. I don't want to be a Pop-Tart realtor and meet some stranger at some vacant house on Highway 7. I'm not interested in doing that. If they're real, they will come into the office. And so normally I'm in there for an hour to 2 hours with them. And then
You don't tell them that, you tell them 10 minutes.
I need about 10 minutes of your time. It will be fast, I promise. But then you have fun with them and they're like, oh, can I have another coffee? I need to use the restroom. I'm
Have a glass of
like,
wine?
fantastic. You can add anything you want.
No,
Yeah. I mean, if they come in at like 3, they're like, man, I really want a beer. I'm like, not a problem. Hold on.
How many people right off the bat when they call in are super excited about coming into the office?
Nobody wants to come in the office. It's boring.
What do they want to do when they're calling? What do people want to do when they're calling?
See the property.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See the property. Meet me at the property. So do we just meet them?
Yes.
Yeah. Fair, the honest answer.
Mm-hmm.
It may come to that, especially if you're brand new. I'm not going to say if you,
Yeah.
but the thing is, you've got to have a process to try to get them into the office.
And I've met them at the house before, but then I'm going to figure that appointment's going to be about 2 hours in that house. Because we're not just looking at that house. You're going to look at all of my material. I'm going to have my maps out. We're going to talk about what you're really looking for. Because they're probably not going to buy that house they walk into. They're just not. They think they are, but they're not. So.
Do you use that sometimes as the first meeting? If you can't get them in the office, you take them to the house, and then the house just becomes the meeting.
The house is
So-
just the meeting.
But it's not about that house. Did you guys hear that? It's not about that house. You're not going there to show them that house. You're going there to have your initial meeting.
Because they're not going to buy the house that they're calling off of anyway.
It's
They
like
don't
an
even
open
know.
house. They're not
Yeah.
buying the open house. You're creating an experience for them, and they walk into an open house so that you can sell them a different house.
So-
Same with that.
So when we were preparing for this meeting, you don't even know this yet, we were trying to, because the whole goal, even on a phone call, is to do something different, create a different feeling or value. One thing Casey and I stumbled onto, because that is what happens, you do make that, when you can't get somebody to come into the office, and my contention is, if you just explain to them during the call why they need to or what the benefit is for them if they do meet with you, even if you have to go to that house, you're going to do something different than the other realtors because they're all going to say, I'll meet you. But if you say, well, the lion's share of the clients that I work with, I meet with them in the office first. I do that because it's my job to save you time and to really get a clear understanding of what you're looking for. There's so many things that come and go on and off the market here at the Lake of the Ozarks that I find that when I just run out without having these conversations with my clients, it's actually a disservice to them. So, look, I'm okay if you guys don't want to meet, and I certainly don't want to waste your time at all or you feel like I'm wasting your time, but I've actually found that I provide more benefit. And furthermore, when I go to the house, I can't really have honest conversations with you guys in houses. Do you know that every house these days, or geez, at the lakes, probably 90% of them, have security cameras that have video and audio? And so any client that I work with, I would never advise you to go to a house and then discuss your feelings about that home or even about the realtor you're working with or other homes you're looking at during, in that home. That's why I like to have it at the office. Does that make sense?
Question for you then.
better to do like a better setting? Like I invite them out to go eat real quick and just sit in a nice calm setting.
Absolutely, you're creating an experience.
Because I think that's a better setting, just for my customer, or my client.
Than the office, you mean?
Yeah, than the office. I feel like it's more comfortable setting. Because most of the people I've dealt with, it's been a better setting, I feel like.
So so I would say it's a style.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's your process. So if you like that and you feel more comfortable, or maybe that your conversion was higher that way, then do it. There's no right or wrong in this game. It can be done 100 times. For me, I want them in a professional environment, and I want it where my resources are, because I can wow them, and I don't have to deal with the distractions. But if you find that your conversion is better meeting them at Starbucks before you go to that house, or you can get them there more successfully, then by all means do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, also utilizing the numbers and the facts and the data
Yes.
is also the big key I utilize even when sitting with them at any restaurant or any place I go to.
Probably more casual.
Yeah, I like personally I like to do Panera just 'cause it's simple, easy,
there you go.
it's quiet. It's more casual but nicer food, I feel like.
Yeah, I think whatever you hone in on that you're comfortable with is what you need to be.
You make it part of your process.
Part of your process.
That's what you do.
And regardless, if you make that part of your process and you can tell them, you can work that into your conversation every time, even if they don't do it, they're going to think about you differently than the other 10 people they call. They're calling a bunch of people.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Well, and you're probably more tech savvy too. I would stumble around trying to figure out how to get my MLS up, and I wouldn't know how to set the appointments. Oh my God, it'd be a nightmare.
I jot down like any kind of information they want me to look up or research, and then if anything, I also I used to go to Panera all the time back when I was in high school and college.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time there, so I actually know the manager, all the people that work there.
Yeah.
So I give all them hugs, and so it creates a more it shows them who I am.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I want them to see that side of me, but it's hard to show that in some scenarios, but really easy to show it when I'm going there.
There, yeah.
Guys, everything and I do want to hammer this. Every single step along the way, from the first time they call, to the pre-listing appointment, to the first appointment, we are creating an experience. We are a second home market. You are creating an experience for those people, and it has to be your style. Not everybody's experience is going to be the same, but we have an opportunity to be different by thinking about everything we do as creating an experience for them. And man, 99% of the agents just don't. They are the exact same as everybody else. Agents in this company are not, but man, if you can. When we went to Florida, me and one of my business owners went down to Florida, and we looked. Some of you guys, I won't bore you with this, but you've heard it before. But went down to Florida. We were looking at a couple different places, and we didn't know where we wanted to buy. And interviewed interviewed 6 or 7 different agents over the phone, and came down to these 2 agents in these 2 different spots in Florida. And we weren't sure which one of these spots we wanted to be in. The first spot we went, the agent, he was awesome. I mean, he was a numbers guy. He was on it. He knew everything about that island. It was North Captive Island, not Captive Island, but North Captive. We had to get there by boat, which was a cool experience. But then once we got there, he's talking on 2 phones. We're on a golf cart. It could have been a really cool experience, but the whole time he is it is like he wants us to see every home on the island. And we are I'm tired. And I could see Natalie and the other 2 are just exhausted, at the end of the day. And he's showing us these homes that we don't necessarily want. We're we only want to be here. And he's showing us there, and he's telling us. And it was overload. And he's a good agent. I really do. He knew his stuff. If I was going to buy a house there, he'd be the guy I'd use. And then, so we go up north to Cape San Blas. And this agent, I'd interviewed her. She did a great job. She knew her stuff. We get there, and she's like, hey, I'm just finishing up right here. We've got the owners own this restaurant right there. Why don't you guys go over there and get a margarita? We're going to go look at some of these homes. So we go over there. She picks up the tab. She takes us away. It's like resort living. I mean, and she just creates. We're having fun. We ended up going to dinner that night with her and played Jenga with her and her husband. I mean, we just had a blast. And the reality is that both those places were pretty similar. In my mind, it was kind of a hard pick of where to go, but for the other three, because I'm kind of that first guy. I have a tendency to be that first guy. But they were just like, oh, this is it. Like, they were in love with the second spot because of that experience that agent created. And she created it all along the area, all along the way. From the moment we saw her, even to this day, we still get stuff from her. And it's still talking about this experience at the Cape. And you get that opportunity to do that at Lake of the Ozarks. And I want you to think about every single one of these processes as you get an opportunity to create an experience. And there's lots of different ways to do that. Sorry, it's my soapbox.
I think you did good.
I think it's really good because that swayed you.
It's the reason she sold. We've referred people to her. She sold 7 properties so far because we bought down there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we kind of went through like before, like you're fielding a phone call or you're at an open house, and then, now let's just say that you have that person as a client. So and we want to be open. Do you have questions about the actual signing of a buyer's agency? Has there been a lot of issues with that? I'm not hearing people jump up and down. So if you have a process and you take them through that and you provide value, that part is really a non-issue. Agreed? Okay. So
Do
now
you get that signed right then, or what does that conversation look like now?
Hey, the broker's in the room, by the way. He's all
Pause the video.
Yeah. Don't worry about it until you write the contract.
Oh,
That's
no, not true.
That is not true.
Not true.
Mel, be honest. I know you'll be honest.
So if my goal is to have them in the office because I think it's a more professional setting, and I am very comfortable with my process. I am not as comfortable anymore if I have to jump out there because I think it's harder to convert them because I don't feel like I've proven my value to them yet. So when I have them come into the office, you're going to be greeted, and I want it to be an experience. And I'm going to tell them, look, my goal is to help you the very best I can. By the way, I want to be on your Christmas card list, and I totally expect it to be invited to your kids' weddings because we're going to really make this to where you'll love me at the end. But there are going to be some hard things that we're going to go through. This is not always an easy process, but my goal is to make it as easy as I can for you. So when I have them in the office, you're going to see the whole conference table spread out. My process is my maps here. I'm probably going to have some of the properties that they told me they want to see, which I know we're probably not going to look at. So I'm probably not going to book those appointments because I'm going to explain once I visit with them more. These are probably not the ones that you really want to look at. But MLS is up on the TV, and then we're going to have a conversation. I give them extra magazines, in case I've got to go print things off. Here's information about the lake, unless they're like a repeat buyer. But I'm still going to bring them in because then I want to know, you guys sold maybe 5 years ago. Why did you sell that one? Really, what are you looking for? What is your why for why you're buying here at the lake? But it's going to be so much information for them. You're going to have, through the forms, here's what a contract looks like. I can go through this more in detail. So this folder is already prepared. I can give you guys anything. And this is the map I use. These are free. You can get them from the chamber. And then I make sure they keep it. And I'm going to point out to the areas, here's where we're at here at the office. Here's the properties that you guys said you wanted to look at. Did you realize this one's on HH and this one's down over here at Gravois? Because I don't want to drive that distance today. In my mind, I know I don't, but I'm trying to narrow them down. What are you guys wanting to do boating-wise? Well, we have a 24-foot boat. Okay, let's talk about the main channel out here from the 1 over to here. You don't want to use that maybe on the weekends. We probably need to be maybe over here in Camington. if you don't plan on buying a different boat, because you are not going to have an enjoyable ride on the weekends. But I'm trying to really figure out what they want. So that's one of my goals when they're in there. And two, that allows you to pull up different properties. Then I can make the appointments that I need. And then, am I going too far?
No.
Okay, so you're going to go through that process with me. I'm going to have all this. I'm going to show them what the Addendum A looks like.
What is that? Sorry, I'm so new, I don't know.
For your Addendum A, so I'm going to pull out this sheet here. This is how I'm going to protect you. So when you're buying a lakefront house, so about AMR permits, I'm going to explain to you. We're going to make sure that these properties have their permits already correct. If not, I'm going to make sure they are permit. We're very big on safety here. I want to make sure you and your family are safe. I want to make sure that dock electric is brought up to code. I want to make sure that we're not going to be in the floodplain. So we're going to make sure on each property that this is taken care of during our negotiations. So this is one form that we're going to use. Go ahead.
Can I just add something? We had this conversation with listings. I had this conversation with an agent the other day with listings. And I just happenstancely mentioned that I'd take all the forms that are typically used with it. You can use this as value because nobody else is going to do it. The typical realtor doesn't want to talk about this because it's uncomfortable, because they don't know about it or they're scared about it. Flip the script. Bring all the blanks. When I was doing listings, she's doing the same thing with buyers. She has them in here. And what you say is, if you don't have that buyer's agency signed yet the first time you list it, now for the folks that I work with, I make sure to provide all the forms. Now, even if you don't end up working with me, you're likely to want to use a form like this. That verbiage right there, the takeaway, you don't need them, but you're providing value that not everybody's going to do. All of a sudden,
Well, no, we were going to work with you.
no. What does that mean? I mean, a blank, and then you just work. I'm sorry, keep going now. I was just excited.
We watched a video about not interrupting. I'm supposed to say that was a valid question, Jeff.
Actually, she played it to me 2 days ago. It was my bathroom video, and she's like, I'm listening to Mel Robbins. And so she plays this video, and it's literally about over-talking people.
Why do you keep looking at
Can
me?
you send that to me?
Yep, I'll send it to you.
I'm sitting there on the bed, and I was like, wonder if that's for me.
It was so for him.
And then I do it all the time.
No, but
I love you.
So, I mean, I even go over the condo writer. So, you know, what they'll say, okay, we're looking at condos today. This is something inside the contract that's going to protect you as well. I'm even going to go above and beyond and ask for a copy of the minute meetings, because a resale certificate, they have no clue what a resale certificate is. I'm going to explain what a resale certificate does. I'm going to tell them we're also going to ask for the last 2 set of minute meetings, because what we're going to find in there is we'll see what discussion that they're having. Are they talking about maybe doing a new pool in the future? Well, what that is telling me is your assessments might get raised. Or if there is a special assessment coming, we can negotiate that so you're not shocked that's coming up. Because assessments are changing right now. Insurance went up across the board everywhere. But I want you to know, if you're buying a condo, you really want to look at what cost it is to maintain a house, because at the end of the day, it's probably pretty even. So I don't want you to get shocked when you're looking at $1,500 a quarter. You might say, what do I get for that? Do you know it includes your cable, your internet? It's going to do trash, water. Those are bills you're going to have to pay anyhow. And if you're looking for a no maintenance lifestyle, that condo might still be the right thing for you, but I want to make sure you're protected. So just know this form is in there for you. So I'm trying to give them value and explain it to them. Just like if you went into a doctor's office and you are diagnosed with something, I don't like the doctors that go boom, boom, boom. And you're sitting there going, well, I have no idea what you mean. And I'll slow it down too. I'm like, do you have any questions about this? Because I want you to stop me at any time. And if I'm going too fast, I'm going to slow it down for you. So just tell me what you guys are thinking. I'm also going to show them all the market stats, because I am not looking for them to lowball. Because, if they look at his estimate, they're like, well, I already figured out that house is only worth $500,000. I'm like, well, here at the lake, we are a non-reporting county. Our estimates are not accurate. So I kind of want you to get that out of your mind. And our assessor's office, nor Zillow, has access to our sold comps. I can pull you the sold comps. Here's where the market is today for our stats. Your list to sell ratio on average might be 97%, but understand at what you're looking at, we might be in a multiple offer situation. If that occurs, I have a strategy for you. I don't want you to get alarmed about this, but we're gonna go through this process together. So again, any questions, I'll say that over and over. Are you comfortable with that? Does this work for you? What do you guys think? So I'm looking for feedback from those buyers.
I love what you said, we. You make it, you guys are a team. It's we, it's not you, it's we.
And I'll tell them, I look at it as we're working together. So when we're out looking on this, you're gonna have each sheet. I have a clipboard for each person. They get one, I get one. So that's how I'm gonna put them in order. And then I tell them we're gonna play a game today because I wanna make it fun. Every time we look at a house today on a scale of 1 to 10, I want you to mark on there what you think about this property. And I'm gonna ask you at each one, what are you rating it? I'm gonna ask if you wanna buy this one. And understand if we wanna buy one today and you see the first one and you wanna buy it, that's okay. It is okay to be able to buy today. If you guys wanna write an offer, we are prepared to do that.
You actually give them a clipboard?
Yeah, they get a clipboard. I have probably 20 at the office because they're in my car. So, because I want them to be organized. They're getting this folder, they're gonna get an ink pen, and then what I also tell them, here's the deal, we don't have 10s here at Lake of the Ozarks, just so y'all know. It's probably gonna be a 7. If it's a 7, that's probably your house, because it's a 70-30 rule. There are some incurables that you're gonna find. It's gonna be a steep driveway or a lot of steps to the lake, flat driveway, a lot of steps to the lake. I can't change that for you, but understand you're gonna have to compromise today. There's no perfect house. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, you can.
Just an observation.
Yeah.
Most agents want to be on their P's and Q's. They want to be perfect and not challenging, and that's good. But the observation for me is, the longer we've went, the less she's worried about P's and Q's, and the more she's worried about them. So she's very open about, I really don't care who you work with, here's all the forms, here's what you use, and then she's very open about what obstacles that they'll hit, and it happens very early, and what that does is creates tremendous loyalty. So if you get into this and don't worry about if those people are really going to work with me or not, and just think all about their best interests and what they're going to have to deal with, more will stick with you forever. But she goes in excited, but yet totally in control. They're not in control. They're in her, and I'm not with you all the time at the house, but she does it. If she has to meet them at their house, there's no difference. She has all that stuff in that red packet, and it's all the same process. It all happens every time. Even if they demand that she shows them a house first, it happens. That changes the game as to loyalty, signing a buyer's agency, because we haven't talked about signing a buyer's agency
Yep, I'll
yet.
get into that
but
one.
if that process is incorporated, that buyer's agency goes away.
Well, and I tell them, go ahead.
I was gonna ask you a question. So you leave that initial meeting from the office, and then they get in their car, and you get in yours, and you go show them homes?
Not yet. I didn't put them in my car yet. Want me to tell you what else I do?
Yeah, no.
'Cause
Keep going.
And
keep
here's the
going.
thing, I want them in my car.
That's where I was.
My car is, you have a question?
Well, I was just gonna say, Mel, touch on why you're not showing a boat.
Oh, yeah, I will tell them that part too. No, I want them in my car. And my car is gonna be clean. So you gotta be ready. And I've had kids through this. I've had to throw car seats in the back, but my car is clean because that is my office. If I have you in my car, I got control of you. I can slow the speed, I can move it up, and I get to hear them talking, like if the spouses are there. And I'm gonna be interested too. I wanna know if the wife's sitting in the front or the husband. Because I'm gonna be able to tell more from that who's gonna make more of the decision. But watch the quiet one. The quiet one probably has way more control than the one that jabbers their mouth off. Because I'm like, oh, that one back there is being real quiet. I need to go bond with that one a little bit more. Because that one's probably gonna be the hammer at the end.
Yeah,
But what I'll go over, so we have this new compensation form, so I tell them about that. That's how I lead myself into the buyer's agency. You know, here, we're fully disclosing what we're all getting paid. This is what our compensation form is. So for our listings here at my company, I'm always going to mark number 1 because I know that I'm getting paid from that listing agent. So, if you've bought and sold before, that process has not changed. Now, I do have it where I don't know if you guys like me yet. I don't know if we're going to be a good fit. So for today, I'm just going to put us in a 1-day buyer's agency. Normally at the end of it, if I've wowed them enough, they're like, oh, we're working with you. You can do it as long as you want. And I'm like, okay, well, here's the minimum fee that I'm going to work for. So I'm going to negotiate that. If I'm only getting from here, I'm going to do my very best to negotiate my other terms for that seller to pay me. But if not, we have to understand that you may have to make up the difference. But I can promise you, I am going to wow you through this experience. I'm going to make it as less painful as I can for you and get you the best value that I can. Are you guys okay with that? I'm always asking, are you okay? Normally they'll say yes. But I mean, you've got to wow them with your knowledge. But that's why when we're looking at the map and I ask them, what are you guys looking for in a lake house, and then why are you buying it? I can help them narrow that down more. Because I want them to know I'm here to serve them, and I want to do the very best that I can for you. Does that make sense? 2, and I will tell them, hey, when we guys get in the car today, I'm going to get lost today. Not going to lie, I've been doing it a long time. I'm going to miss a turn, but you're going to kind of be my guide. Like, who gets in the front? I give them the job. I'm like, now you got your clipboard, right? Great, help me with directions. And I just make fun of myself. And then when you're in the car with them and they're with you and they're new to the lake, you can point out different things for them to do. I'm like, oh, okay, you guys mentioned, do you guys like to go to church on Sunday? What congregation do you guys belong with? Okay, this is Our Lady of the Lake here. It's a great church over here. You guys like wine? Here's a winery. You want fine dinner? I would suggest J.B. Hooks, was right here. And oh, did you know when the lake was developed, this was developed by the Brown family. This is H.H. Notice the first couple roads are named after their children. Here's where the lodge started. Water's Edge is the oldest complex here at the lake. It's crazy. They used to have these push buttons. I'm going to give them history and make it fun while we're going through the different properties.
So nobody talked about training when we were getting into this. Nobody told us that you were going to be more successful with converting by developing a process. So she stumbled into her own process, but I'm telling you, it's locked in, and it happens all the time, and that's why conversion rates are higher. Do they happen 100% of the time? No. You're not going to convert 100% of the people that you meet, but you will change your level of conversion if you adopt your own process, and the process includes differentiating from other agents on the phone, in person. I know I say the same boring crap all the time, but that to me, that process of first dumping everything on the table is de-alarming. It is not give before, it is give before you get, not the opposite, which happens in our business all the time. I mean, it's like we expect someone to work with us when we haven't earned the right for them to want to work with us. So that de-alarming deal and taking it off the table, not worrying about that, is so powerful. And then I love the fact that starting out with this. How many times is this the very last thing we want to talk about? Oh my God, we don't want to talk about how we get paid. I mean, start leading with that. That's.
I had a quick question about that. You said you talked to the buyer about making up the difference. How often has that happened in the last year, where the buyer had to make up the difference in the minimum that you worked for?
I've only had one had to come out of pocket at 0.5%, and they're like, I probably would have paid you more. I'm like, dang, should have put in one. I've also negotiated into seller's concessions, is how I've done it too. So I asked for it. I had one with another agent. She would only give 2, and I think for them I did 3. And I said, you guys are going to have to make it up, and I'm going to negotiate it in your seller's concessions. And the other agent got mad. She goes, why do they need seller's concessions? I said, they don't. You just didn't want to pay me. I said, I feel like I earned it. And that's how I told her. I was like,
I have a question about that. How many people, when you go to a listing, offer an unconditional guarantee? Do you offer to let them out of the listing if they don't see value in what you do? Do you? Anytime? You lead with that? Or I mean, you close with that?
Oh, absolutely.
I close with that.
It's totally fine. Part ways.
We put it in our listing budget, right? Yeah, so I'd read it to them.
When are they going to pay you?
At the end.
They're not paying you till closing. You're not asking for anything on this piece of paper. I mean, you're talking about what you deserve to get paid, but when do you actually collect? Give them an unconditional guarantee that if you don't bring them to the table at a deal that they're comfortable with, you're not going to ask for a dime. Take it away. Because you're not going to work with them if they don't want you to. Let's all just be honest. We're not in the business where we can force people to do what we want them to do.
And just because you have a buyer's agency
It
sign
doesn't mean
even mean that you're going to get paid. They're going to go behind somebody's back.
Mm-hmm.
That's our
And-
silly dilly real estate
Yeah,
commission.
it's
That's
really
all
dumb.
that is.
It's really dumb.
So use the same analogy, the same script after you provide value.
Well, and even when we didn't have any success, I would tell them, I can promise you guys tomorrow I'm going to eat. I mean, there's some junk in the trunk, and I'm going to be all right if I miss a few meals. But my goal is to, and I will just make them laugh because it's so serious sometimes. You got to add humor with them, and I want to have fun with them. But I'm like, guys, it's either going to work out for us and it's going to be great or it won't, and I'm okay either way for the outcome because I need to do what's best for you. So you just need to tell me what your expectations are. And I'll ask them that too. What are your expectations for me as I'm working for you as a buyer's agent?
Mel does such a good job of breaking down these barriers. You are so often working with these guys that own businesses, and they're used to being in charge and in control, and so she gives the illusion that they are, and makes jokes and breaks down those walls, and pretty soon you got a meeting out of your hand. And there's an art to that.
I mean, I was at a listing the other day, and this guy was a fireman, and it was getting way too serious. I'm like, hey, were you ever in one of those calendars? And he, and he was so full of himself, nice guy, but I could tell it would get his ego. And he goes, oh my gosh, yeah, back in the day. But now we do it with puppies, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so awesome. Totally derailed the whole conversation, but I did it on purpose because I was like, we were going down a wrong track, and I'm like, what do I got to lose? I'm throwing that in there just to make him laugh.
No, we use puppies.
So, no, but that's part of the process that I do. But I would encourage you to learn personality profiles like nobody's business because you can learn to play off those personalities.
Okay, so let me switch. Let me keep moving a little bit. So now you're showing. Okay, you've got a buyer's agency sign. They're looking at 3 houses. What do you do to quote unquote close them, to convert them to a contract, to a sale? Is there a process that you do when you're there?
So when we get in the house, I'm going to tell them, okay, guys, this is the one we're coming to first. This is this one. It's listed at this one. We're looking about this many square feet. So are you guys ready to go in? Because, you fiddle around with that silly lockbox forever. So I'm trying just to build rapport with them while I get them in the door. And then I've already told them I'm going to play the game with them. So I'm like, so we're going to look at the house. We're going to get a feel for it. And then I might stop them and slow down. Understand if they sit on the furniture, that is an awesome sign. I do not rush them through it. And if I think they like it, I'm going to take a really long time turning those lights off because I want them to sit through it. But at the end of it, I'm like, okay, remember we're playing the game. Scale of 1 to 10. What did you guys like about it? And I just say, be brutally honest. It doesn't matter to me what you guys are buying. And they'll go, well, I like this. I hate the paint. Here's this one. I don't like this. I'm like, okay, let me ask you this. If the paint was changed, would this house work for you? Or if there was a flooring credit, would you like this one better?
Do you do it when you're inside still, because there could be the cameras, or do you not care?
I tell them here, we're probably getting listened to. If you really, really like it, don't tell me that much, because I do forget we have to do that. So I'll be like, this one has cameras and audio. And I also tell them, let's probably figure they have it on anyhow. They're supposed to tell us, but they may not, and this Ring doorbell is the one they're watching for sure on us. Yeah, so if I do know for sure there's no cameras, I won't drill them. I'll do it back in the car. That's why I want them in my car. If you don't have them in your car, you cannot ask those questions. So then we'll discuss it, and I'll be like, okay. So, and if you totally hate it, just tell me. No way in heck would you buy this, because we'll look at the dock. We're going to say, would these slips, this dock won't work. I'm like, what if we got a different dock? So I'm just trying to see what the objections are, and then how can I overcome them?
Ooh, I don't like this drive. Like you pull up and they hate the driveway, or you can tell they don't like the neighborhood when you're pulling in, do you still go ahead and try to show them the home?
If the home is a full-time home and somebody got the house ready, I'm gonna say, here's the thing, just as a courtesy to them, could we maybe just do a quick run through? You know, these people worked really hard, and what's interesting at the lake, I know the driveway right now is intimidating, but understand the next 4 that we look at are probably gonna be the same topo. I can promise you, once you get used to it, you're gonna whip in and out of this driveway. And 2, if you're showing and you don't own that driveway, you will not sell that house. So I used to be intimidated. I'm from Illinois. Everything is flat. I have to have a backup camera in my car. It's my godsend. Just don't turn your wheel. You got yourself down there. Bring it right back up. But go practice them. You know, figure out, okay, this is how I'm going to get in it. This is how I'm going to turn out. I mean, I drive a smaller car because of that, because I hit too many things with Jeff's Suburban back in the day. It's not a good way to close a house when you knock down the street light. Just isn't. It's a bad deal. I hit the retaining walls, but just explain them. Say, guys, I know it's steep, but I'm telling you, you're not going to be here in the winter anyhow. So don't even worry about the snow. You know, you got plenty of parking up. If somebody else comes as a guest, it's going to be our norm, is what it is. But I promise you, you'll be comfortable once you do it a couple times. And sometimes I have them practice it.
In your car?
I have before. I mean, you got insurance. I'm like, knock yourself out. But you know, or if you come back for a second showing, you'll have the bigger trucks. I'm like, if you guys want, I'm going to ask them if we can pull into the garage. Is that a big thing? That was a house I had to close this weekend. I knew his big dually would fit, but I'm like, hey, I get it. It's a high-end house. I had the owner's garage door in my car on purpose. So when they were following me, I opened it as I was pulling down. I went to the right, and I said, pull her in. Let's see if it works. He goes, oh, this is a lot of room. I'm like, I know. But just wanted to make you feel like you knew. I'm like, we good? He's like, yep. That was my only objection. I'm okay now. All right.
That's good.
Any questions? Did I go too fast? I say that a lot to people, too, because I will run over you. Yep, you got a question?
Outside your door for a week?
Yep. You can come listen to me. And you know what else I put in?
Be careful. Remember how she started with the song she likes? Yeah.
Okay, and my office is a freaking disaster.
It's unbelievable.
It is awful.
I cleaned it one time.
We almost got a divorce.
It was so bad.
So bad.
It was so bad. We shared an office, and it started leaking over onto my space, which really isn't my space, it's her space. And we were in the same room, and it got to me so bad that she was gone one day, and I'm like, take care of this. I cleaned it all up, and I had it all neat and put away, and she walked in and did
Lost
not
my
anticipate
mind.
the response.
Yeah.
You've done that
You
before.
super thankful you cleaned up?
Oh my God.
No.
What did you do? I'm like, cleaned. I cleaned.
No, I got sticky notes everywhere. Now, if you come to my home is organized. I don't know why my office life is ridiculous. But no, and I won't let clients in my office because they would never work with me. It's so bad. But no, that's how I learn. I just listen to people. But I have a mirror in my office. I stand and walk in my office a lot. I feel like I have more energy, and I'll check, am I smiling or not? Because I felt if I get up, I have more energy, and I will pace when I'm walking. You know, and I'm going to look and say, be happy, even though that guy's an asshole. Be happy, yeah.
That's a great point. Practice smiling when you're talking on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
You sound different, I promise, when you're smiling than when you're not. That's a great point.
Why don't you waste your time with boats?
So you will have some clients, and what I found through the years, they go, oh, can we see him by water? I'm like, oh my gosh, that is.
We learned it a really hard way.
Uh-huh.
Would you run out of gas?
No.
Yeah, that was Ryan and I.
That was with you. That
Ryan and Mel ran out of gas on a boat together one time. It's amazing they had a cooler of beer, but
yeah, isn't that something?
it's amazing.
Thanks, Mel.
I brought it.
I've never really liked him that much since, actually.
We literally ran out of gas.
We need your help. I'm like, what? Where are you? I'm on a boat with Ryan. It's the winter time. Why are you on a boat with Ryan? We ran out of gas. We've only got 2 beers left. I'm like, what is going on?
I didn't call you at first.
What is going on?
Can you bring us more beer?
We We had to pay the neighbors, what I give him, $50? And the best way, I go, do you got any cash on you? He goes, no. I'm like, what good are you? You didn't bring any beer. You don't have any money. What are we going to
You
do?
remember though, before that, it wouldn't start because the battery was dead, and it was so dead, the new charger wouldn't charge it. It wouldn't even try and, it would just say it was dead, so I had to go get a battery, change it. The whole time Mel's sitting on the front of this pontoon just drinking beer like, how's it going back there?
Hey, you know what helps convert a sale once you got a contract? Be good to the other agent. Make it fun for them too. Have fun with this. It's not all, yes, you can work hard for your client, but adversarial agents cause really tough deals for their clients. And all of a sudden they're sharing emotion. I'm looking at Zoe because she had the worst of the worst and did such a good job with it. And she just, we're not even to the finish line yet, but we're close. But I mean, that helps a lot. And I watch you guys do that all the time. It's really, really good.
No, but showing by water, I mean, how I've explained it, I'm like, it sounds like it would be a fun thing, but let me explain. Some of these houses are further away by water than road. That's one. Depending on if they are down using it, they may already have friends tied up to the boat. It's way more than you think it would be. What I would encourage you though is let's look today, let's narrow it down. I'm gonna give you a couple great boat rentals for you guys to look at, go that route.
Hey, if they write a contract on a house, no problem. We'll go check the water depth after you write a contract on the house.
We used to go look by boat, but it was more to get feel for the area. We weren't necessarily going in them. We were going by to see what they look like by water. For one, they look a lot more impressive by water than they do by road. You guys know that?
Just be careful. Qualify that client. We had a client when we were brand new that was going to buy a resort, which was a dangled a big carrot. And boy, we wanted to do everything we could to get that client, and they wanted to go by boat. Well, it was ironic. They never bought anything, but I think we showed them by boat like 3 or 4 weekends a year for a couple years.
Yep.
So you got to value your time too. You're the only one responsible for your time, and they sometimes don't care. So you got to be careful about who you let with your.
Well, you do that, and you'll find who are kind of the users or not. But like in my car, I have a smaller like little Yeti cooler. I've got waters in there. If they've got kids, I got little Capri Suns. I'll have granola bars because I really don't want to stop with you. If time is money in a way. I will create that experience if you are amazing, but I'm like trying to win them over. Oh, you guys need a water? Here, I've got extra ones here in my car. So that's ready. I'm like, here's some snacks. Here's a granola bar because you'll get that one hangry person. I'm like, oh, I got some fruit in here. Here you go. Just hold them over. Or if you stop somewhere and get maybe a quick sandwich or something. But you got to look at your schedule. Because years ago, I could have 3 buyers on a Saturday. I could get you done 3 blocks. So I had to move them the whole time.
We didn't want to buy lunch either.
We didn't have any money to buy lunch,
So
and I had to get my kids by 5 o'clock. So I mean, I was trying to get my time to where I knew, okay, I had till noon. If they ride, I need about 45 minutes. Then I got to get this one. So I was that scheduled with them years ago.
I had a buyer in Natalie's car one time, and he found a cheeseburger underneath the seat.
Tell them about the dirty diaper.
To this day, he gives me a hard time.
I do.
That's hilarious.
Well,
He
Jeff,
gives me a hard time.
when I had kids, I'm like, you're going to find some French fries in here if you're hungry. Knock yourself out. There's probably some colors. I did have a dirty diaper once. Jeff was showing that. That got me in trouble. Might have stuck it right underneath, like went too fast. Whoops.
So, where do you want to go next? Questions? You guys have questions for her? Anything specific?
Where are we at on the process? We're in the car.
Oh, we are already? We're an hour and a half already.
It's so good though, Mel's here. What about after you show them?
Like after they've closed or after?
No, like
during the contract?
Yeah. How often do you communicate with them? Maybe they don't buy that first time. Maybe it takes them 3 or 4 times. How often are you communicating with your hot buyers?
Hot buyers, they're going to look at new properties almost every day, but I'm a phone person. Like Jeff, for example, Jeff's like, can we ride together? I'm like, no. That screws up my whole morning if we ride together. I don't listen to the radio. I dial for dollars every morning. That is how I get myself in the gear. If I'm early at 7:30, I call my contractors. I'm just calling them normally to say hi. Hey, what's going on? How are you guys doing on this? Normally people will bring up real estate, can normally get a buyer or a prospect a day if I make my calls. That's why I don't want to ride with you. Because I'm like, no, and then I can put out the fires with them. But I'll touch base with them or send them a text, hey, are you guys coming down this weekend? I'm trying to get them back at the lake. Because I know it's harder to close them if I don't have them here. And then I'll go, I know you guys mentioned you guys wanted to be in by May 31st. I'm trying to make sure you can maybe get down here next week. There's several right here that are coming up. I can get you into them maybe ahead of time before they hit MLS. But the ones we looked at last week, those are under contract. So I'm trying to do some takeaways and get them back here so they can hit their goals. But I'll remind them over and over. Guys, if we don't get in, and we're going to look at 30 days probably to get through this. So I need to make sure I get you down here. But I'll show them too, utility list providers, different lenders, different inspectors. I just give them so much information, they would feel bad not to work with me. I'm going to try to guilt you into something to know that I'm going to help you do all of this. And then once they're under contract, you got to wow them the whole time. And I explained to them, some have teams, some don't. But I'm like, you are not going to not hear from me. I'm going to be with you the entire time. We're going to go over inspections. And understand, too, inspections are going to be harder today than they were before. Because everyone's, as a buyer, I feel like you're going to want to try to go for the gold. When we get those inspections, understand they're going to nitpick it like crazy. I want us to focus when we get that on the really big ticket items. Because we are buying an older home here. I know maybe it's got some cracks in the drywall or there's some little things here. Let's focus on more of the big things. So I try to set up ahead of time so you're not this, the buyer that goes, well, I want everything fixed. I'm like, well, that's just not, you're almost going to kill the deal. So I try to tell them ahead of time what the expectations are the entire time.
So a coach explained it to us. You got lots of you have seen this, but it went away, and now it's funny because now the market shifts and changes. All of a sudden, the agents are using it again. Our own agents asking, "Hey, do you still have that pipeline thing?" So what it is it's just an Excel spreadsheet. I didn't bring it. It's with a line by line. And if you get a prospect that you feel has better than a 50% chance to buy in the next 3 months, you put them on the sheet. And then you gauge their odds. Okay, they're at a 50%. Nope, they're at a 70. No, I've got their house under the contract and they're going to buy something else. They're at a 90. And what he told us is, what you do is you set your own parameters. Let's just say, for the sake of conversation, everyone that you have on here that you've given above an 80 or a 75%, you talk to them once or twice a week, period. Even when you don't have anything to talk to them about, you talk to them about not having anything to talk to them about. You talk to them all the time to make sure that you get them to the goal line. And then the 60 to 75% chance, you talk to them this many times and your goal is to try to get them to above 80 or 90%. So you're constantly looking. It's not your database. They're not the people that you have in drips and campaigns. These are the people that you need to convert. So the goal there was to have something right in front of your face every day that showed you, here's my list of people, and you can't have 5. You got to have, your goal is to have 20 or 30 on there at all times. But you're always then constantly have a list to work off of, and it's funny how that came back.
Buffini says, I don't know that you can over communicate. You said you get a hot buyer, he communicates with them every day, which sounds like a lot, but the reality is how many buyers, I didn't want to bother you, I just called the listing agent. That's a lot less likely to happen if you're having a daily or every few days conversation with them. They're a lot less likely to call somebody else if you're communicating with them a couple times a week, 2 or 3 times a week.
And I'll ask them, how do you want to hear from me? And some people say, just text me. But I can tell you in negotiations, do not text them. If you text them, you say, please call me. Because things are not, they don't always listen. So you'll learn their personalities. They'll be like, please call me. So you can go over negotiations on the phone. Sometimes they'll totally tune you out. You'll learn those personalities. I'm going to follow up then with an email. Okay, here's what we discussed. Just so we're both on the same page. You know, I heard you say this. Is this what you meant? Because texting too with other agents, if you text me on an offer, it's going to drive me crazy. I won't present an offer to you unless I talk to you normally first. Because I want to present.
But you like presenting verbal offers, right?
No, they get you in trouble every single time. Don't be lazy. Like I had an agent the other day goes, I don't want to bother with that. I prefer to do verbal. I go, no, that won't work. This seller requires it in writing. I'm sorry. Even though that seller could care less, it just gets jacked up every single time, and you got to go back and fix it.
That's good.
I wanted to tell him
So
something
now you got it
else.
under contract, you just go pick up a check. Buyer conversion's done.
I think what we have to remember too, we are dealing with normally very large amounts of money. No matter who you are, if that person's buying a $100,000 house or they're buying a $3 million house, that means a lot to them. Whether they show it to you or not, they are excited, they get nervous, they will second guess themselves. You will see the stock market drop, all of a sudden they are completely freaked out. If you are talking to them all the time, it's a privilege of what I think we get to do. So I'm going to talk to you even if there's nothing going on. Because to them during 30 days, it's like when you're pregnant, it's never going to end. I need to talk to you. Okay, hey guys, just wanted to touch base. Everything's going great. We're already through inspections. I know your loan's going great. Just wanted to let you know we're on track. Any questions, concerns that you've got, anything you need right now?
Do you try to talk to their lender?
Oh, their lender, especially if it's an out-of-town lender, yes. Because what's happened is we were so crazy for so long, so many of us got freaking lazy. They are not on it. An out-of-town lender will be like, I had one the other day, oh my gosh. He's like, well, you guys moved the closing date up. I didn't know. I'm like, how did you not know? And I said, the appraisal was due like 10 days ago. You told the buyer it was fine. He goes, well, I should have more time. I'm like, you got a copy of the contract. This guy was so abrasive to me, so cocky, I was done. He wasn't going to work with me at all. I go, you put that buyer's earnest money at risk. Her 25 grand is on the line. You didn't read the contract. So he goes, well, nope, you have to go back and renegotiate. I want the original closing date. I go, what you want isn't what the buyer wants, and now the expectation's already been set and it's in writing. So I just went around and got her a brand new lender and got it closed in 2 weeks. I was like, forget you.
Yeah,
but you
had
have
a
to.
conversation with her and her dad where I listened to it.
Yeah.
And they were trying to defend the lender at first.
Mm-hmm.
They
How'd you
really
do that?
did try to blame. They really did try to
Yeah.
blame you because I heard it.
So how'd you do that?
I was very strong. You even said, geez, Mel.
Oh, I know. But I mean, but Dad was there to protect the daughter. The daughter was the buyer, and it was a very interesting conversation. Now, Dad wasn't terrible, but he was. You could tell they had a friend that was a lender out of town. It was their friend, but you set it up right.
Well, he had an out-of-town appraiser too. I called her. I said, I'm going to let you know I'm a little concerned already. This is kind of a red flag to me. What I have done, I have sent all the comps to your lender's appraiser. I even gave her an appraisal that wasn't even 6 months old. It should have been a slam
On the same property.
dunk. I said, I am so confused why this isn't completed yet. She had 4 weeks to do it. I said, it's still not done. So I'm very concerned. I want to let you know the whole time. She goes, oh, it's no big deal, no big deal. So I wrote down in her file, I contacted the lender here. So when that dad got on the phone, I'm like, here's what I've done, Dad. I sent this, I did this, I did this. I let Miranda know I was concerned. And he's like, Miranda, hang on just a minute. I said, she's passed all of her dates. That's why I'm telling you how important this is. He goes, who else do you have to talk to? I mean, it turned, but they were very defensive.
But
like,
it was 20 minutes of hard conversation
Yes.
before it turned. I mean, I don't want to paint the wrong picture. It was a struggle.
mm-hmm.
But it ultimately, that lender got canned. They got the extension only because they were going to another lender, and the deal is now done and closed. But I mean, she fights. And that's really important to know when you're teaching these classes, that you're going to hit obstacles with a buyer or a seller, and you gotta pre-warn them about the obstacles, but then when you get in the midst of it, you gotta fight. Your deal could have been gone.
Mel fights as hard as anybody I've ever seen to keep deals together, because we tend to celebrate once it goes under contract.
Yeah.
It's far from over. It's amazing how many, like, you see all those, what are those companies that ask, you know, that you get those emails, hey, you want your commission check early? Don't ever do that, because there's a good chance that deal can fall through. But you can really fight for it. And when you're fighting for it, you don't fight for it in a desperate, where you sound desperate. It's always in the best interest of the buyer, the seller, whoever you're working with. You want to speak to that?
Well, and you'll have agents too, like, oh, this deal's dead. It's not dead till it's dead. And I will fight to the end. You work too hard to put them in your car, go through all the inspections. And if you ever have an issue, just call me. I will try to think outside the box. And, you know, if the buyer even goes, forget it, these inspections are too much. I'm like, hang on. Let's really think about this. You guys really like this house. I know the septic failed. That's not uncommon for our area. We can work through this. We have been through it before. And if you haven't, just say, I'm going to figure it out. Let me make some phone calls. Normally, if they get real upset, I'll slow it down. It's not uncommon. I hope I haven't done it to you, but this is what I will do. I'll get you off the phone. I used to just drop your call. If I get yelled at, I'm going to hang up on you. Sorry. Then our cell service was really bad back in the day. And I'm like, whoops, sorry, I lost you. Because it was getting too heated. Because where I see the most arguments is between the agents. So I am like, here's the deal. I know it's not you and I against each other. We're both trying to get this to the finish line. Let's just maybe try to calm it down. Let's think about it. Let me ask some questions, brainstorm with my team, some people in the company. Let me call you back, and surely there's a solution. Because you have a seller that wants to sell. This buyer wants to buy. We've got to come up with something that can be a win-win for everybody. So let's just, pause for a minute, and let's get back to it. Because there's...
Now, do you, first thing you go to is probably dropping your commission too, right?
No, we work too hard for that too. And you'll find I had one the other day that she's like, well, we can get it done. I'll just go to 2%. I'm like, why? Don't do that. What did you do wrong to have to reduce?
You had one that split 2 and paid you 3. The agent split
the listing
2%
agent
with another agent and paid her 3.
Mm-hmm. Why? Things have not gotten cheaper. This is a noble profession. You deserve to make the money. And I will tell people too, I'm not doing this for free. I've got a family, I've got goals in life. I'm going to work my tail off, but I want and I believe I have the right to earn the money that I'm charging. And I'm okay with that. Are you guys okay with that? And I'll ask them what they do for a living too. Because, sometimes they think we get paid no matter what. I'm like, I don't get paid until I get you to the closing table. And the deal isn't done until we all win. And that's what I need it to be. At the end of the day, this has to be a win-win for everybody.
Good.
Know your worth.
Mm-hmm.
Know your worth.
Any other questions? Hope I didn't talk too much.
You were all mesmerized with it.
No.
I think
There's
Kayla needs
no
to
duties every
record you.
Yeah.
She needs to record you for.
No, we're not putting that on a recording.
But there's things like, if you're doing a high end, have you guys ever seen these maps?
No.
The Portachima maps? Okay, they don't make them anymore, but I will leave a copy. You can go get these. So this map, and I have the Villages map, this is laminated in my car at all time. You want a wow high-end buyer? You show them the maps. Okay, look, this is all of this. We have big ones of 4 seasons. You have this map, that's for free. They get to keep this. But just if you have the materials, you will know them. I think Portachima is the most confusing place to show. I still have to go preview. Because when they're in your car, you can't always have GPS on because GPS is not accurate here at the lake. But if you learn it and let them learn it with you, you don't have to be an expert. But I would encourage you, for the lake, if you guys don't get on the boat a lot, get out on the boat. Learn the restaurants, learn the fun things to go. Because when you're showing, it's neat to be able to go, oh, okay, this house, you're not far from Lake House 13. You guys will love their pizza. You guys got to come over here. Frankie and Louie's for the kids. You're going to love the beach.
All we're doing
But you're doing the experience and what fun they're going to have.
All we're doing is interviewing. She told her dad asked her one time, what did he ask you?
What do you do all day? I said, I interview every single day, and then I have to get re-interviewed to retell them how well to stick with me. Because you may have a buyer that won't buy for 2 to 3 years, so you are constantly interviewing. Because what happens notoriously, some relative gets their license, halfway between your process. Well, I really should use that one. I'm like, should you? Because they don't have the experience yet, and we've created the rapport. He goes, but I already said, I'm not using you. She's worked too hard. Because I'm trying to guilt you to stay with me somehow.
So just think about it that way. Think about your interviewing. We have an opportunity to interview for a job that we want really bad. How would you show? How, you know what I mean? Because each one of these deals could be a big payday. So I think if we do that, we're gonna come out way ahead. So we've taken a lot of you guys' time. We very much appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for showing up. Even though it took Mel to get you there, I will not hold that against you. Maybe I will, I'm not sure.
Anything about these?
Oh, there's one sheets I printed off for you, but 2, I will have Cassie email out. So this is just one of the sheets I use because there's so many questions to ask for a listing information thing I use and a prospective buyer if you guys want copies of that.
Thank you.